My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And today we are going to be making a twins card with the wildly adorable stamp set. So my cousin is having twins. He and his wife will be welcoming them fairly soon. So I was a little behind getting a card made for them. Tonight we'll be making this these cards. So not specifically these cards. I figured we'll do one of each. So they're going to have a boy and a girl. So I'm going to go with that theme tonight. And then I'll just have you guys, if you want to weigh in or vote on which card you think I should send, let me know. But we have our wildly adorable twins card. And then we have Little and Loved. And then we have a bunny here. And there's a little sentiment that says, "Some bunny loves you." And I thought that would be a cute one to make on the live. So we're going to do the bunny together live, and we're going to be doing the mirror imaging technique. So if you aren't, well, we'll be doing two techniques really. We'll be doing mirror imaging and we'll be doing paper piecing. So I thought it would be really cute if it looked like their onesies were actually like almost three-dimensional. So I decided to do a little paper piecing, and we'll get into that. But mirror imaging, if you're not familiar, is when you take a stamp and you do the same exact stamp in the opposite. So we're going to use our Stamparatus for that, and I'm excited to do that. So it's been a little while since I've done mirror imaging, and it's such a cool technique. And you don't like exactly need it all the time, but when you find out somebody's having twins, you're like, I have to do that. So let me know if you guys ever do the mirror imaging technique. There are a bunch of videos out on it on YouTube, but tonight you guys are going to see my version. It's pretty simple. Hopefully it will stay simple. Well, I love this stamp set. It is so cute. And there's lots of different sentiments that you can do. The only twist is, because this is specifically for twins, I was like, okay, how do I do this? So I did pull in a few different die sets, which I don't normally. I try to stick with like one die set. Sometimes I get a little crazy and do more. Hi, Joan, how are you? But because we're dealing with twins and these aren't in plural, it says welcome baby, I figured I'm going to actually cut out twins and see how that looks. So this was die cut using the Playful alphabet. This is a tag from the Tailored Tags dies. Just because I'm not going to be making this particular one live, I just want to let you know what I used. And then we're going to stick to this paper pad though. So the 2020-2022 in color 6x6 designer series paper is what we're going with tonight. I used the bumblebee on the little lion babies, and I used the pink and the blue, so Misty Moonlight, and why is this color escaping me? Magenta Madness. And I thought that was adorable. So we're going to go with that one again. In terms of the skin tone, I used Pale Papaya Light on the twin babies here, but I used a combination of ivory, and then I just kind of warmed up their cheeks with Flirty Flamingo a little bit. So you can play around with that and see what works. And I finally had an excuse to use my gingham ribbon. Is this ribbon not the cutest? I mean, this one's meant for babies, if you ask me. So this is the gingham ribbon. This is a 1/4 inch thick. This is also in Bumblebee, you guys. So it was a perfect match. I mean, you could definitely have fun with that. So just wanted to mention those things. But we'll go ahead with the bunny, and I'm going to see, I think it's going to fit if I do mirror imaging, but we're going to do a test run before we do our real one, unless we really nail it and get it right. And by a test run, I mean, don't be afraid to play around with these and test it and make sure that you're liking the way that it looks. Okay, so here's what you're going to need to do your mirror imaging. And I did forget to write down my host code, you guys. I'm really sorry. It's on my Facebook page. I'll post it in the comments after. And we still have celebration going on as well. And I want to just give a super quick reminder about Paper Pumpkin. You need to be subscribed by September 10th if you want that fall themed kit, which is a combination of like Harvest and Halloween. And this particular kit is actually like little treat boxes. It's not cards. So Oh yeah, I know, Kristen. They come up with the most fun names, and sometimes they name it after food, and then you get hungry when you're like, one of the colors is crumb cake, and I swear to you, every time I use that color, I want to eat crumb cake. So here's what we're gonna need. Let me get this out of the way. You're gonna need your Stamparatus, and you're also gonna need your silicone mat if you have a silicone mat. This is a really good one. Make sure it's nice and clean. I mean, I cleaned this pretty good today, but I've also been using it like over and over again. So what we're going to do is create our mirror image with the silicone mat, but we're going to do our first impression here. So I'm just going to do a little test stamp, if you guys don't mind. Let me just make sure I'm in frame here. Okay, and so if I stamp the baby's like facing this direction. So the mirror image is going to be going this way, to be technical. So let me just, let me see. You don't really have to have it in any particular place. I'm just going to use a piece of the basic white cardstock to try to capture this. And again, we'll practice this. And if we do get it right the first time, it'll be great. If not, we'll do it twice. So you're going to stamp each image twice, because we're going to stamp it once on our cardstock where it's going to become a card, and we're going to stamp it once on the designer series paper so that we can cut out the little onesie. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this here. Let me just make sure that that looks, I'm going to line this up so that it's like kind of lower. And I really want my cardstock to be as straight as possible. So kind of like right to the edge there, I think is good. And I'm going to get my magnets, just get that down. I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, which is safe to use with your alcohol markers or our Stampin' blends. This is line art, this particular stamp set, and very, very thin lines. So you may also want to use your Stamparatus even if you're not doing mirror imaging, because the lines are so thin. I felt like I needed to stamp it a couple of times to get like a good image, and you'll see what I mean. Like it's fine, you know, if you're going to color it in and do your details or whatever, but I felt like it was a little bit light. Oh my gosh, Kristen, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Kristen posted my host code, everybody. So if you spend 50 or more, you will get a free embellishment from me, and Stampin' Up is doing the celebration promotion. So you will get a free celebration item as well. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm really loving the way that that looks. And now we're going to do the mirror image. So what we need is our silicone mat. Make sure it's clean. You really want to make sure it's clean. Okay. Doesn't matter really where you stamp it on the mat. If you want to put it in a corner to kind of make it easier, you could, but it doesn't really have to be in any particular spot. Like I'll kind of go closer to the edge, give me a little bit more control, but doesn't really matter because we're going to transfer the image onto the cardstock where we want it. So I'm just inking this up again, and working with line art, I will say I've been experimenting with this a little bit. You're going to have to stamp this multiple times. That's no problem, Kristen. That's funny. And if anybody ever has a problem with the host code, you could always just email me too. It's stampingwithhart@gmail.com, and that's H-A-R-T. So I'm going to stamp this down. And when you're trying to capture an image on silicone, the ink is a little bit, I don't want to say weak, but it's light. Like it doesn't stamp like its impression as strong as it could be. So I recommend, because these lines are so thin, I recommend stamping it multiple times. You know, for me, when it's going onto silicone, I do it like 4 or 5 times. I heard a lot of people say 3, like they would kind of stop at 3. And you can see we're getting some stronger lines here. So I'm just going to, and we just want to check those places where we have those details, because you really want those details to transfer, and you want this to look as strong, if possible, as the image that's originally stamped. So I'm going to do that one more time, and then we'll try this and see how we do. Now the thing with a stamp like this is a little bit bigger of a stamp. You want to make sure the two are going to fit on whatever piece of cardstock you're doing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this back in, and I want their hands to be touching. So I'm going to line this up, and you can kind of see through the mat here, like the closer you get to the paper. Let me know if you guys can see that okay. I know it's really hard to tell. I hope my light is enough. So as you start to bring this down, you can kind of gauge like, okay, are their fingers going to be touching? And the closer you get, you can see that. So I'm going to set this down. Just be careful as you lay it down. And now I'm going to put a block over top and just press to get that ink transferred to the cardstock. And if we get this right, we'll just be cool. And if not, we'll do it one more time. Just preparing myself. Okay. All right. And so there you go. So it's such a cool technique to do, and I am really happy with that. So we're going to do this one more time. Now you're going to have some leftover ink on your silicone mat. I recommend cleaning the ink off right away so that if you put your mat aside, you don't end up getting it on your fingers or getting it on something else on your table. I talk all the time about having a super narrow table. So I'm just going to take my Simply chamois, which is damp, and just clean it off. And it dries pretty quick. Just make sure your chamois is not too wet. And I'm just going to set that aside for a second because we're going to stamp these two one more time. And we're going to do one in the Magenta Madness, and we're going to do one in the Misty Moonlight. You could choose whichever, you know, pattern you want. So it doesn't matter where you stamp them because you're going to cut it out. We're going to go right around those feet again. Keep your scraps just in case you accidentally cut off a bunny ear or something. You can always glue it on. No one's going to know. That's the beauty of paper piecing. Okay. All right, and here is our girl. We're just going to trim out her face. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go right in with this fold, and I'm just going to follow her chin, and I'm going to go around the outer part of the hood. So you'll see there's like a little shadowy part and then the baby's ear. I'm actually going to trim it right to the hood line because we're going to leave that little shadow inside when we're coloring. So let me just go around. We're almost there. I don't think it's a big deal if you trim off some of the stamped lining, but be careful if that matters to you. And take your time. My favorite part about editing is speeding stuff like this up. I tell you all the time. Okay, so let me just get that. I think that looks good. I'm just going to trim this a little bit. Here we go. All right. And I'm just going to check to make sure that it fits. And this is our girl. Okay. I'm going to keep their hair the same. I'm just going to kind of treat them as like identical twins, but if you want to, you know, change up the shading or the hair coloring or the skin color, whatever you want, you could do that. So I'm going to go with Pale Papaya Light for these. And I'm just going to go all the way around. So that looks pretty good. And then for the hair, I grabbed crumb cake and soft suede, and I'm gonna go in with soft suede first. We're gonna do the journaling tip side, so that really thin tip. So on this card, I used the stitched rectangles. I really like the way that it framed them in. So I just want to see if that's going to work for these two. Let's just try it and see. I think that would be cute. And then, like I was saying, so these little spots where we have like the paw prints and the ears, I'm going to use my basic black dark. You could use the light too, just to kind of go in and fill that in. All right, and then let's get the Somebody Loves You. Of course, I should get it to say some bunnies, right? Maybe that's, maybe we should do, well, I really want to use that, but what if we just do little and loved? We could do little and loved. And I can stamp that right on there, or we could do another layer. I think I'm just going to stamp it right on. How about the Magenta Madness? Okay. No, that's still pretty inky too. Little and loved. Okay, and then from this point you would just pop it onto your card base and you're all set, unless you want to add some embellishments. I would probably use a couple of embellishments and just kind of pop it right over that glue. But yeah, so let me just get all three out. I don't have a card base planned, you know, set aside for this, but you guys get the concept. Let me see if I can grab a cute embellishment that we can put on this card. Mitzi, you like the pearls? Oh, Kathy, you too? Okay, great. So let me add some pearls here. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. And I will see you again on Sunday. And if you're interested, this is the Wildly Adorable stamp set. And then we did all of our paper piecing with the 2020-2022 in color 6x6 designer series paper. And we just did a combination. So if you want more of that neutral color, you can, or like a cute, like adorable, wildly adorable theme. You know what I was thinking that would be really cute with this? That other suite that Stampin' Up! Came out with in the annual catalog that has like that whole wild animal theme. I can't think of the name of it. If you guys can think of it, let me know. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. But anyway, it has like the tigers and the jungle, and these would be so cute with that set. So just something to keep in mind if you own that, or if you're thinking about doing a little mashup. Oh, it was so nice to hang out with everyone tonight, and I will see you guys again on Sunday. 7:30 is what I'm aiming for. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.